What's up guys, welcome back to the Guzzies Customs YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. And this video, we're gonna be building the custom exhaust for the C10. Well, this truck is a friend of mine's and we just recently got it running. It's got a 454 700 R4 and just needs an exhaust done to it now and a couple other little things to be finished up and ready to hit the road. And hopefully this exhaust we put on this thing will really bring it alive and make it sound a lot better than it does now. Well, let's take a look under here real quick and see what we got going on. All we have is these little Blue Streak cherry bomb deals, glass packs. You can see that one's hitting on the frame. These were just temporary to make it a little quieter to get the motor running for the first time. But we're gonna build a whole new exhaust all the way from the header back. And we have 2 new mufflers and a bunch of stainless tubing to use. Alright, here's everything out of the packages. Got pretty big assortment of tubing, like different bends and shapes and stuff. But first thing I gotta do is get the X-pipe fit up. So go ahead and grab that. And just kind of mock stuff up until you get it where it's gonna work. Because obviously the flanges on the header side are weld on. Well, I guess they bolt to the headers, but we have to weld the flange to the pipes. So once we figure out which pipes are gonna work, then we can weld them on and go from there. Well, this took a little more thinking than I thought it would, because this X-pipe, these are not 90s, so the 45s don't line up to the headers. You can kind of see they kind of point into each other. So I had to figure out how to get it cut straight and whatnot. So I just laid this straight edge across here and measured it from here all the way to here, and then over here to here, make sure they're the same, and then mark the tube straight on both sides. And then I also made sure these were butted in all the way in here, and then I'll cut these off here so they're straight, and I'll weld the flanges on right here for the header, which that's what these are right here. So those will go on there. And then if I measure this across center to center right now, I have about 27 and a quarter, 27 and a half, and I need 22. So once I get these cut off straight, then I have to trim this side equally on both sides and bring them in so these will come in closer. But what's also another factor I gotta deal with is these headers. That passenger side one is about an inch and a half farther out than the driver's side one. So I gotta remember that, keep that in my mind when I'm trying to cut these and get them straight, because this passenger side one does need to be in a little bit farther than the other side. Okay, with both of them cut and put in there, you can see what I was talking about, getting them straight. So now they're both flat on the table, they line up in the X-pipe. So now just trimming these off inside here and shortening the tubes up, it'll bring the outside edges in, and that'll get me to my 22 inches that I need. Well, I just mocked these up like this on the truck and it looks like it's gonna fit. So I'm gonna go ahead, get these prepped to weld. Get them prepped to weld, and then weld the flanges on each one where they belong, and then we'll get it back in the X-pipe, get it bolted to the truck, and then tack the X-pipe in place and everything where it needs to be. But these flanges can kind of go wherever because the flanges on the header side spin and they can move to adjust to these. So these I'm going to put them on so the bolts are lined up like that on the outside of the header and the top and bottom. And then the other ones will just spin and line up wherever they go. And I'm just going to hit these with Scotch-Brite kind of all over the whole tube just to make it look nicer and have more unified scratches on it. You can buy tubing that's already got the little brushed look to it, I guess you can call it, but it's a little more expensive than getting just the plain manual bent tubing. And just a little more work. And of course, if you wanted to, you can get the polished tubing, but that's obviously going to be even more money. And then you got to be careful with it more when you're TIG welding and cutting and whatever else you got to do to make it fit. All right, we got the tubing all cleaned up, or at least Scotch-Brited. Now I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off with acetone. Make sure all the greasy fingerprints and everything is off of there. And then I'll actually hit it with the MAP gas torch, or any type of torch really, just to get the little microfibers off and any little dust particles on the inside, get those off. Because cleanliness is your friend when you're TIG welding. Helps me get this on. And I don't really need to do it that much. It's just really, really cold in here. So that kind of just helps pull the moisture out. See if I can get closer to the camera, you can see what I'm talking about. See this edge here? If I get it hot, you can kind of see the moisture pull out of it. Okay, I got the first part of the X-pipe bolted up to the headers, and then I threw in these other tubes just to kind of see how it lines up. They're not going to run this way. That's just what I have in there to mock it up. I noticed it does sit a little crooked just because the headers, the driver's side hangs lower than the passenger side, and the passenger side one comes farther out than the driver's side. But there's nothing I can do about that. I could try to tweak with the X-pipe before I weld it and get it as straight as I can and then weld it in place. But my idea I got for the exhaust is that it's going to come out this way and it's going to shoot up right behind this cross member on both sides, go up, and then up above the trailing arm right under the bed floor will be the mufflers. Got the wood stove going. Pretty cold in the shop today. Got the wood stove going, trying to get some heat in here. It's pretty cold, but I've been doing a little bit of welding, which also heats me up, I guess. And gonna get this X-pipe back on the truck. Just got it welded up, welded the flanges on all the way around, and then instead of using the clamps on these slip joints, I just went ahead and welded them. And this part right here had a pretty big gap, so I had to fill in the Grand Canyon there. And a little difficult with this thin tubing, but we got it done. Let's go ahead and throw it back on the truck, start mocking up the rest of the exhaust. Come on. head to hold it. To get one started so it can't fall off. Okay. Okay, here's what I got so far. So I extended the tube out to here, I cut it off, and then I took another 45 and put it up to there, and now it's gonna go up. And then we gotta do another 45 to the muffler. Maybe less than a 45, but that'll get us up there. Muffler's gonna be up here. All right, we're gonna have a go at using the head mount camera because I'm tired of moving this camera around because I'm running all over the shop from here to the bandsaw to the truck to the welder to here, so I'm just gonna put the camera on my head. Little deburr action in here. Get that stuff out of there. Not super stoked on those Harbor Freight blades. Might have to go to the store and get some different blades. Well, I've been working away under here. Got the passenger side, not passenger, driver side muffler held up into place. Got the tubes tacked in place. Still waiting for V-bands to come in so I can get this one. There's gonna be a V-band right here. And then I got the over the axle part all taped together. And where it comes out over here, and then it's gonna come along the frame rail to the turn down tip. So I'm gonna throw the head cam back on and just get to work getting these tubes off, clean them up with the buffer before we weld anything. And yeah, it's a lot of tedious work, and I know it's not the most entertaining thing, so I'm not filming every single step of the way, but we'll get a good chunk of it done and I'll show the progress. welding. Welding, welding, welding. Gonna kind of jump around to different parts so the heat's not all in one spot. Try to keep the weld rate a little bit. Well guys, let me update you on what I got going on in the exhaust here. You can see I cut and welded a bunch of tubing, a bunch of repetitive stuff that I didn't think I needed to film. Got the mufflers up there, V-bands put on, and then I built it all the way out the back up to this point with 3-inch. And I set the truck on the ground and realized I had no room. When the truck's on the ground, the pumpkin was hitting the pipe up there. So what I did is I ordered reducers, and I put V-bands with the reducer down to 2.5. And then instead of the tubing going on the inside of the shocks, it's now going on the outside between the shock and the frame. This side's pretty close to the brake line, which I did have to move the brake line. You can see where it used to be, where it is now. But I'll put some type of heat shield on the brake line or on the exhaust to keep the heat off that. But now the exhaust is up nice and high. It's higher than the frame rail, so we should not hit anything. And then it comes down the back. I did have to use 2 pieces of pie cut to make the angle I needed without wasting more tubing and cutting more pieces up. And then it comes out the back over here. But that's what we got so far. Now I gotta get the other side knocked out. It's gonna be a little trickier with the panhard bar here in the way, but I'm sure I can figure it out. Probably just come down below the panhard bar and then out at the same angle the other one's at. Well, I don't know how much more of this I'm gonna really film because it's just cut, test fit, weld, cut, test fit, weld over and over again. So I'll come back with another update when I get some more progress. Okay guys, we just finished getting this thing all in here. Everything's welded and bolted up. Grab the light. Take a look at what we did. So we got the headers to the X-pipe in 3-inch. And then I got these little hangers that bolt on right there with little rubber isolators on each side. Then it goes up to the V-bands right there to separate the mufflers from the X-pipe so you can take it apart easier. And then the Flowmaster Flow FX mufflers to another V-band and then reduced down to 2.5-inch tube in order to fit it through the frame right there between the frame and the shock. Frame and the shock, not axle. And then this side, same thing, up over between. And then I got hangers right there on each side to the frame. And I was able to get the exhaust higher than the frame rail. So even if we lower the truck more and get rid of the bump stops, it's not going to hit the exhaust on the axle. The panhard bar does touch when it's at full droop up in the air, but on the ground it does not touch. And then for the tip, it just comes right over here, just under the bed, and you can't hardly notice it when it's on the ground. Alright, there it is all the way on the ground. Take a look at the tip real fast so you can see how it's just right there under the bed. Standing up, you can't see it. Behind the truck, can't see it. So it's pretty hidden, but it's going to be far enough out from under the truck so it's not going to have a bunch of drone inside the truck. And then with the wood out of here, you can kind of see from above where it sits above the axle, and there's plenty of room. Let's go ahead and get this thing fired up real quick. Sounds super tame with these mufflers. It's not too loud. I think it's perfect. Still pretty cold, not idling too smooth yet. But this thing sounds pretty good. Not bad. I like it. I think it sounds great. We'll have to get it on the road and see how it sounds in the cabin. If it's too loud or just right, but I think it'll be perfect. I don't think it's going to be too loud. Outside, not warmed up quite yet, but it's getting there. Sounds pretty good. It's a little quieter than we expected it to be, but that'll be nice for driving it. And when you rev it, it's loud anyway. You can still tell it's a big block. Still makes plenty of noise. And it looks good. Can't hardly notice it there. And we got good clearance on the axle and everything back here. Plus I think these mufflers that it's got on there will break in a bit and they'll get louder, because glass packs usually do that, and these are a glass pack style muffler. It's like a blow through, like it just goes straight like that. It doesn't have any chambers, so it'll wear in and get louder and louder as it gets older. But I think it sounds perfect. I'm gonna go run this thing down the street real fast to the stop sign and back and just see how it sounds driving. Bit of a drone to it, but it's not bad.